A wise man told me we are never given a dream without being given the power to make it true. You'll have to work for it, though. I'm Ron Schneider. Back in the 60s, I grew up around California theme parks, dreaming that someday I could make my living with that same kind of magic. In 1971, I got my first performing job at Magic Mountain. The 40 years that followed were one wild ride. And these are the stories of others who had that same dream and made it come true. Hi there, welcome to Wild Rides. I'm Ron Schneider. As a child, hanging out at the Magic Kingdom, I had this dream that someday I'd get to be an entertainer there, maybe even be a Disney character. My guest today had the same dream and made it come true all on his own. Widely recognized everywhere as the Big Fat Panda. This is John Saccheri.
I wish I was a Disney character. You are a Disney character.
Well, I was a Disney character.
Yeah, but no, you also are now as yourself.
But people walking through EPCOT Center, and I've had this experience, it's like when you stumble on Mickey Mouse, he used to walk around the streets. You come around the corner, and there's this character. He's got a black hair. He's kind of round. He's made out of circles.
I don't blend in well.
And you see the smile, and you go, "This is the Big Fat Panda." I watched him on YouTube all the time.
Right? If nobody made me famous, so I kind of tried to do it myself locally, in a small version.
Exactly. Now, you started out in New York?
Yeah, that's where I grew up, in Long Island, New York.
Mm-hmm. And you were into performing as a child. I know you did some of that.
I did. I went to Manhattan was like a very scary place. Let me know how much you want me to get into this, but growing up in Long Island, it was a tree, a house, a tree, a house. It wasn't, people think when you say New York, it's the city usually. And I remember being very scared, but I wanted to always, because I was a good reader. My dad wasn't a good reader. He made me a good reader. They wanted me in the school plays. So I did a lot of these plays. And then I said, all right, let me go audition for a TV commercial or something. Very nervous, like looking at a camera shaking. Mm-hmm. But I went and I auditioned for a few. And the Mead Trapper Keeper Notebook, I remember watching the other kids audition. And and when I say kids, I'm talking like 17. They're not really kids. I remember saying they're not giving this emotion, because one of the lines was, where's your homework? It's on a spaceship to Pluto. And I thought, why aren't they looking up in the sky or anything? So I get to the audition camera. I think I'm hot shit. Oh, I shouldn't say that. And I went, it's on a spaceship to Pluto. And I remember hearing somebody go, oh, good, have him do that again. I was like, maybe this is a thing. Mm-hmm. So I got a call back, then a call back. And then I remember being really nervous, because then they called me and said, you're in the commercial.
My brother's holding it for ransom.
And I remember the agent saying, we didn't send you with the fat kids, which really made me feel good. He said, we just sent you where they said, give us kids with sparkling personalities. I was like, oh, do I? I didn't even know. Do I have a sparkling personality? Okay, good. And then we got that commercial. That was, I was a poor kid. When I say poor, we were lower middle class, but maybe on the lower middle class. That was a $32,000 paycheck from that commercial over the course of probably 4 years.
Yeah.
So getting those checks and being able to buy whatever I want a new TV, I want a new Nintendo, I want a Sega Genesis, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. So that definitely had me continue doing, do you remember MCI Long Distance?
Sure.
Was it MCI? No, I don't know if it was MCI Long Distance. Yeah, it was MCI. With George Burns. He was in the other room as we were doing the commercial at the time. Mm-hmm. And then I did a Nintendo commercial. And then I eventually moved to Florida because I really wanted to be close to Disney.
What was your first exposure to the park? And I know this story, but go ahead and tell it anyway.
You've heard it on Dreamfinders, which you were in, and you did wonderful. I was, again, we didn't know what vacation was. It was going to the Catskill Game Farm from Long Island, going. It was running through the sprinkler. I thought that was life. That was it. We did watch The Wonderful World of Disney at home on TV, like I would assume many families did. And I remember my dad saying, we're going to go to Disney World. And it was like, we're getting on a plane and we're leaving this. I never left my house really. Now I'm probably 6 years old, 5 or 6. So we got on the plane. I remember seeing palm trees and thinking that was amazing. So I was already very impressionable. Anything that was different than my 4 walls was amazing. And I remember being on the ferry boat. I'm not going to cry this time. And I'm on my dad's shoulders, I believe. And there was no Grand Floridian. There was the Contemporary, the Polynesian. And I just saw that shot of the monorail, the train station, the castle. And I do remember having just an amazing impact that is, how is this here and I've not been here before? This is amazing. Mm-hmm. almost like it came out of my own imagination, and I was going there, and I just remember everything was perfect. Everything was impressionable to me. I remembered everything. I didn't go back until I was about 15, which I'll tell you the whole EPCOT story then. But I probably saw you, actually. And I remember for 10 years, all I did was talk about it, to the point of obsession and, really probably annoying my neighbors and friends and buying every Birnbaum book and all that kind of stuff. So it definitely changed. And I told my father, I'm going to go move there one day. He's like, no, I'm glad you love it. It's a great thing, but you're going to grow out of it. Never happened. That's the only thing I think he's wrong about.
I know this. I went through 3 obsessions growing up. First, there was the Beatles. Then there was Batman. And then Disneyland.
I thought I was going to get a woman's name in there. I'm glad.
No. It was Batman. It was as close as I got.
So see how Disneyland is special for you? Mm-hmm. People don't quite understand sometimes when Walt Disney World is the home special place. Like, well, Walt didn't build that, but he's not there. No, well, Walt's spirit's there. I feel it. So don't tell me that. But I didn't experience Disneyland until just like 3 years ago for the first
Disney
time.
World was created by a committee that Walt had hired.
That sounds horribly,
I know,
horribly cold.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
That's why I say it. So you moved down here about when?
15 years ago. So this is 2020. I'll say 2005. So it did take a long time. I mean, I had I did the TV commercials. I saved up some money. I was a travel agent, managed a travel company. So I would always come and visit once a year then. But it wasn't until I started a mystery shopping company where I left the travel industry and I was doing surveys at home, people surveys, and I was dispatching people to, Ruby Tuesday was my client. And I had every Ruby Tuesday. So all of a sudden I was getting checks for like $70,000 to my bedroom, to my house. And I was like, okay, I can move this company anywhere. So I'm going to move to Florida and live near Disney, and I can have the company there. Slowly but surely, the company itself got too competitive, and I wasn't really that business-minded for it. So that's how the YouTube channel started in between that, where I said, why don't I just use my whole, I had this need to entertain and jump up and down and be the dancing bear for people. So I was like, let me try it. But it was funny because I didn't have the confidence. Like I would take videos of rides and shows, and I would say, okay, people like that. Little by little, I'd peek my face in, I'd put my toe in the water. People would say, oh, it was nice to hear you say, it was nice to see you. I was like, all right. They're not saying, oh, this fat guy coming on the thing. So then I saw Kung Fu Panda. And at the end of the show, the villain says to him, you're just a big fat panda. And if you remember, if you ever seen it, he says, I'm not just a big fat panda. I'm the big fat panda. And he pummels him. I was like, you know what? I got bigfatpanda.com available, got it. And then DreamWorks went and bought .co and .everything else. I was like, oh, they didn't get the .com. They didn't call me for it either. They didn't care. But so I kind of adopted that and then started to show myself more and more. And as it was accepted, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a show. I'm going to do a thing. And my first show, what a train wreck. I was just this buffoon who thought everybody was interested in every little thing that I was doing, and it's not interesting at all. I admit it. So then I started to, cut it down.
Now, you mentioned that first visit to EPCOT.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Okay, so, 5 years old, went to Disney World, loved it. Didn't go back till like 10 years later. My father said, we're going to visit family in Florida. I was probably about 15, maybe 16. We have 3 days. Me and my little stepbrother, who was about 5 years younger than me. We said, what do you want to do? We said, well, there's EPCOT and there's Magic Kingdom. We said, no, we want to do 2 days Magic Kingdom, of course, and 1 day of this EPCOT baloney, this learning stuff. So we did the 2 days Magic Kingdom and then went to EPCOT on the 3rd day and realized what a mistake that we should have had the 2 days in EPCOT. Again, I don't know, they must have marketed it wrong to me as a 15-year-old because it wasn't what I thought it was. Spaceship Earth was amazing. Journey into Imagination. We went on. We met Dreamfinder. If this was 1984, could that have been you?
Could have been me.
I bet you it was, because I spoke to this guy for too long. Him and his puppet wanted to probably bite me and get rid of me. But we had to buy, both of us, my little brother and me, had to buy a plush Figment. The ride was it was incredible. And it really, as a kid, inspires you. Because of all the different imaginative things in it. So I'm very disappointed now, as you might imagine. But yeah, that was my first visit to EPCOT. And I remember thinking EPCOT was amazing. World of Motion, Horizons. Oh, don't get me started with Horizons. I will cry about things that are not anymore.
So you moved to Florida and you start the YouTube channel.
Yep. It started and people were just loving videos. My first video was a flower and garden festival. And I just remember trying to be entertaining isn't just us, and I'm sure you know this. I felt like, okay, I can tell a story with the camera. So like when you're taking pictures of flower and garden, I would look up and see the monorail and go, oh, I could also get on the monorail and do like a nice sweeping shot of the whole monorail thing. And I tried to put it together with nice music, didn't realize the whole copyright thing for a while. But there's still that nice video where the music crescendos when you get that sweeping view from the monorail. So I'm trying to tell a story with the videos also. And because when I was in New York, I missed the rides and stuff, now I try to show the boarding of the ride, the left side, the right side. I called it Pandavision instead of Panavision, little gimmick. And the exiting of the ride. But a very, very nice thing that came out of that, and it wasn't on purpose, was moms with children that were on the spectrum would say, thank you so much for your video. I was like, well, why? They said, my kid wouldn't go on Splash Mountain, but your video documented it from beginning to end, and they've watched it 100 times over. And when we went, this will make me cry, we went to Disney, they went on Splash Mountain. And that sounds stupid in the grand scheme of life. But to know that, wow, this kid experienced something that they might not have had done just because I took a video of it. So now when I do the videos, I'm a little more conscious of taking it to show, fans love it, but for a child or an adult on the spectrum, they want to know what's coming at every end. The reason why that means more, can I tell you a Haunted Mansion story?
Please.
Okay, when I was 6 and we made our first trip to Disney, I saw the Haunted Mansion with my older brother who's 10 years older than me. They were going in the Haunted Mansion no matter what. I hear it howling. I am hysterical crying. I don't want to get on. My father is about my weight, maybe about a foot taller. Big guy. Big Italian guy with his accent. And he never hit us. But if you got him mad, and you'd be like, oh, Daddy's inflicting pain on himself, which means eventually he's going to have to hit us because he's biting his knuckle. But I got scared. He got down to my level, and he looked at me, and he said, there's only one thing you'll be scared of in this world, and that's me, not this house. And I said, what? So I was petrified now.
Me too.
So I went on the Haunted Mansion. What do you think? Loved it. Now, at that time, it wasn't one ticket price to get in. You had to buy tickets. Dad, could we go on again? Dad, could we go on again? I remember overhearing him say, I wish I didn't get him on it because I'm going broke. I don't even remember how much it could have been, but I remember it was like $22 he spent for me to go on the Haunted Mansion, and that was ridiculous to him.
Yeah.
That was like as much as we paid for the hotel outside of Disney. I'm sorry for me yelling.
Okay.
So for that reason, I realized, though, because it had an impact for the 10 years that I didn't go, I realized how experiencing something that you might not have impacts your life, that for somebody to get on a ride, that's why it means a little bit more that they can experience things. Sometimes forcing a kid is a good thing. I didn't realize that.
There are so many people who do not what you do, but the kind of thing you do. There's a lot of sites that shoot rides, and a lot of them never turn their head and look. I always tell people when you're going to Disneyland, first put the phone down. Secondly, keep your head on a swivel. There's things going on around you that they're wonderful things that people never see. Especially, I used to go on the old mine train at Disneyland. I used to tell people, turn your head. There is a lot going on here that you're not seeing.
A lot of people don't stop and smell the roses at all.
But the stuff that you shoot, and I'm going to name just a few people. You, Jeff Lang, Martin Smith.
Excellent.
These are people who are shooting the park and shooting the hell out of it. So now I don't get around that well now. I rely on you guys to show me the park, to show me what's going on. So I know what I'm looking at when I'm there. But it's with what we do in theme parks is so impactful. Even through the camera, it touches people's lives. It makes a difference in people's lives. And so many people I've talked to have had exactly the same experience. In fact, I was talking to Joe Zimmer just this morning about the first time we walked down Main Street, and both of us felt like we were in The Music Man, and that stayed with us all our lives and became a major influence. And then especially with EPCOT, which was a park originally designed to inspire people.
Oh,
That's what it was about. And the Imagination Ride especially was a way of saying to people, this is all you. You have this power. You have this within you. You can do anything with your life you want to do.
The ride told a story. Mm-hmm. So what you were saying about the video is, I think as a fan, we admire, like Jeff, Martin, my gosh, those videos. We admire the detail and we try to show it. I also believe that when you watch a video, you can tell if the person shooting that video cared about the viewer. Mm-hmm. So I always try to care about the viewer. And not some of these, you watch them and you're like, what are they on a bungee cord? I think I did take bad videos as a kid and somebody taught me a little bit. But yeah, I agree. I think you care, and again, you're telling a story. But yeah, the detail and stuff like that. And it comes from being a real fan, or just somebody, I gotta go take this video. You know, I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed coming home and editing it and putting it together. The Carousel of Progress is one of my favorite ones, only because, you know how there's the left and right turning? I would film the center. Then I would go sit on another ride and film everything on the right, film everything on the left. Then from the back, film all three, and then go home and piece them together with the audio from each spot, but it's seeming like it was one complete. Mm-hmm. People would say, how many people go with you there to film? I was like, oh no, it's just me. Mm-hmm. So, thank you for noticing. So I had you on my show.
Yeah.
A couple of times. Like, you were on my live show in person, and now because of COVID, I'm doing it online. You came to that one too. Yeah, people love you too. My gosh. What did you do?
I was lucky enough to stumble onto a character that was going to touch people's lives.
I don't believe in that luck or stumble. I think it all.
Well, my timing was perfect. My timing was perfect. That I was born in 1952, so 2.5 years later, I'm at the opening of Disneyland. And then when I turned 18, I was exactly the right age to get my first job at Disneyland and then Magic Mountain, and went around one thing after another. And I was at the Golden Horseshoe in 1980. And there, just as the time that I didn't get the job there that I wanted, Dreamfinder came along, and they were looking for somebody to do the strolling character.
I rarely, and I don't want to plug your book, but I rarely finish a book. I start them and I get halfway through and something happens where, like your book, I couldn't stop. I went from start to finish probably in 1.5 sittings, if that's it. Mm. It was so good. So if it's from Dreamer to Dreamfinder?
From Dreamer to Dreamfinder,
so,
a life and lessons learned in 40 years behind a name tag, yeah.
So interesting. And I think lessons also for the people that read it too. So, who in the book was the person you thought would be wonderful, but you met them and they were kind of a jerk?
That would be Danny Kaye.
Okay, yeah. I remember. I forgot who it was, but I remember the situation.
My hero. You know,
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You should never meet your hero.
One of the three people that inspired me to get into show business was Jerry Lewis, Al Jolson, and Danny Kaye. I used to watch their films, and I would record their films, and I'd learn all the songs and all the pattern, all the bits. And when we opened EPCOT Center, I got to be in the opening television special with Danny Kaye and Drew Barrymore, who was charming as hell, of course. He had just done E.T. And so we were out there in front of Imagination and got to work with Mr. Kaye. And he'd been around for a while.
Did you say, Mr. Kaye, you were inspiring to me? You were one of my inspirations.
I could tell from his attitude that was not the thing to do. That he was there to do the job and to appear charming on camera, and that was about it. And if you talk to people in the company he shot a lot of specials. He shot a lot of stuff for Disney. And then after the EPCOT thing, the next show was hosted by John Forsythe, because people just had enough.
Danny Kaye rubbed a few people the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's sad.
And you look at the guy. I love him. I still love everything he did. Absolutely love it. But just the one bad experience. Are there any people besides myself, of course, who have inspired you, have helped you, mentored you in what you do?
Some of the two people you just mentioned, Jeff Lang, who we have an ongoing funny joke that he will kill me for saying, but I'm going to say
Okay.
it. See, this is good stuff. I was new to the whole video scene, and I had just met Jeff maybe like 2 days ago. We're at SeaWorld at an event. I think it was an event. And everybody's talking about how they mistreat animals, and then other people are defending how they take care of animals. And Jeff says to me, I was very impressionable. He says, "You know how they get the Santa hat to stay on Shamu, right?" I was like, "I don't even see him with a Santa hat." Jeff says, "No, by next week, Shamu will have a Santa hat on, the big staple in his head." And I said, "Oh my God, that's terrible." And I really, for like 10 seconds, absolutely believed there was some form of a staple that held, already they're telling me about their fins flapping down. So I don't know, it just felt like it could be real. Jeff starts laughing. So every time I see him now, I bring up the staple because he laughs that he got me. And I felt really that I was, I had a moment there.
Now we have to have Jeff on the show.
But he does inspire. I do like Jeff. He doesn't even know that he inspires me. I like that guy. He's a good guy.
We'll have Jeff on the show, and he'll tell some embarrassing stories about you.
Probably he'll tell you about the time I believed that the staple went in Shamu's head. I'm trying to think of who else. I always want to be an Imagineer. I always want to change. Right, like we were talking about, what journey into imagination? Why? What happened? What did they do? I don't understand.
All the attractions, they have to have sponsors now because the cost of the attractions. So Disney wants sponsors to come in, and they pay for the creation and the maintenance of the character of the shows. And after 10 years, Kodak was up for a refurb. And there were people in the company who weren't crazy about the dragon, weren't crazy about the crazy old man with the red beard who hung around children a lot. And so they were kind of looking askance at that character. And they were looking, and then Kodak was starting to find out about digital photography. And Kodak was in the film business. So things weren't going well for them.
They didn't quite reinvent themselves that well. Like, we don't hear about Kodak too much today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is towards the end of the 90s when that transition was happening. And so Kodak wasn't ready to spend the money for the upgrade that they might have spent.
Are you surprised at, after all these years, still how popular, not just Figment, but Dreamfinder is in the community, in the products and the sales of the products, comic books, vinylmation, everything? Does it surprise you?
Especially since Dreamfinder has not been in the public consciousness since '98.
Yeah.
It does still surprise me. I can tell you why it happens, though, and I think it's because of Tony Baxter and the people who created the original ride. In the original ride, there was this moment where we come up on this turntable scene, we're flying alongside Dreamfinder, and its ride seems to stop, and he talks to us about imagination, and he creates Figment. And you see this wonderful, loving relationship between the characters. And then we come to identify with Figment. At the end of the ride, we come through, and we're seeing all the possibilities of what Figment can do with his life, and that's us. That story sticks with people.
I agree.
It made an impression. People come outside, they'd meet us, we'd post for pictures and sign autographs. But I think the reason the characters are remembered so well is because of the original story and the way that was told. In the comic books that came out that Jim Zub did, he recaptured that. He went back and recaptured that. When they did the redo, they got rid of Dreamfinder, they brought in this new professor character, and he treated Figment like a pest.
It still is. Even in the third iteration, he's still a pest.
And but the characters, Figment is so charming and so well designed that he's still making a fortune in marketing and merchandise.
Based on what we were saying before, where Tony Baxter said if given the opportunity, he would reimagine it with an original Dreamfinder Figment. Again, it's not even on the books, I don't think, but that gives me a little bit of hope that when they finally refurb that building, that beautiful space, maybe, just maybe, we can get back to Dreamfinder and Figment. Because like you said, it's still a story that resonates.
The thing that frustrates me is people who want them to just bring back the old ride.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. I know. I would like that, though. I would.
Well, I'd love to see it again. But I was thinking about this myself. About what would I do? And in a nutshell, you had the original ride. You saw Dreamfinder flying the Dream Machine, collecting sparks of inspiration. we should fly the Dream Machine. We should be the one piloting the Dream Machine.
Yeah, but then you got to be careful. It's just going to be a little simulator thing. So.
No, if you've seen the Journey to the Center of the Earth ride,
Oh, yeah. So, yes.
you put people in that thing, you got a gun that sucks things up. So as the first scene, you're sucking up sparks out of the air, and then you go through the same realms, the arts and literature, performance arts, science, and you take the things that you've collected and you're shooting them at these different targets and creating new things.
And they could send you an email at home digitally of what you sucked up.
And that gets money.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a really good idea.
solved the problem.
And all you would need is the thing that you're sucking up to go, dum, 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 and some lights or something. That would be a good idea instead of shooting something. All right. Hopefully that somebody's listening. I want this right. COVID has had me redo something with myself, reinvent. That's the word, because I was doing the live show with like you here. Now I'm doing a weekly StreamYard. Everybody's doing a live stream show, so now I'm doing a weekly show where I have guests and stuff like that. And it's interesting. I don't like being cooped up at home. It feels like normal is starting to come back to the parks. It's still scary. I'm hoping that when a vaccine becomes widely used, we'll get back to the real Disney again, because I feel, you can feel they're struggling now. Things are starting to feel a little better though. There's hope.
They're handling it very well.
They really are, as best as they can. I can't believe California is not even open yet. Like, they've proven here that they can do it without being an epicenter of COVID, I think.
Well, part of that is the thing that I love about Disneyland is it's so compact. The thing that's working against them is that it's so compact.
Yeah.
That at the Magic Kingdom you have the room to spread out and be 6 feet away from it. Not at Disneyland. Disneyland is very intimate.
They could still use that reservation system to limit it, a lot at first, just to get some income and get something going again. I know that's probably hurting the whole company, so I don't want to see them hurt. I want to see my friends get back to work too. There's a lot of people still out furloughed. That's it.
Yeah.
Talented people too.
Well, John, thank you so much for coming along.
I am so happy you invited me, and I'm happy that I get to know you and just all your insight and stuff. Everybody who comes in contact with you takes something back with them, and it's a nice thing. You once taught me what a mensch was. You called me a mensch, but I call you a mensch, so now I know what it is. You're a mensch.
Well, how about that? Yeah. That's my guest, John Saccheri. Check him out, bigfatpanda.com.
Thank you.
He's got the videos. He's got wonderful live shows. And you run into him in the park, and you get to
literally.
You should go watch him eat. Very, very entertaining. I'm Ron Schneider, and if you follow your bliss, you're in for one wild ride.